Hello guys, we're live again. So continuing on from yesterday's stream, I will need to export this to Blender to start a retopology. So first of all, I scaled all my subtools and and made sure that we got a more accurate height. So as you can see now, the model is quite big, so I can't go bigger than that with the brush. Um, S- So the next thing we need to do, because this is fairly high res, we'll need to duplicate this model, and I'm going to call this something like lion decimated, and we'll run the decimation master on this decimation. Where is it? There. So pre-process current. So it's just this one skin mesh that we're sending over to Blender. So just need to pre-process this one subtool. Okay, that's done. And I'll just use the default settings to and click just decimate current. And that should, if you solo it, you'll see that yeah, you'll have this very awkward geometry, but it's fairly low res. Active points less than 500k, so that is suitable for retopology. So Z plugin, and you have under scale master the option. There are a couple of ways to export in ZBrush. You can do an FBX export, but under scale master there's this export to unit scale option, which I think is more accurate. So I will do that and line decimated obj and find a folder. I'll just say maybe create a new folder here for Blender. Say Blender stuff and say lion decimated. I think that's a reasonable name, so I'll leave it there like that. Click save. And so for now, we may shut down ZBrush because we won't be needing it for some time. The plan is to just do good old retopology in in Blender, but also try and keep it as low res as possible while we do it. So let's import obj. I may have to do this a couple of times because usually because of the units, so we are in metric meters. Let's change that to centimeters actually and see if we can straight import that obj. Wavefront, where's you? There. Wavefront obj. And project, Blender stuff, and that. So I'm not sure if scale 1 is going to be right. Let's import. It's huge. Oh, it's massive. Um, that's because it's 12,000 centimeters. So that's 100 times bigger than. Okay, well, I should. So maybe I should have left this as Blender default. Wavefront of BJ. And if I do that now, that's 120 meters. Still, it's the same. Uh, well, in that case, let's do something like this. Let's change this to centimeters. But when we import it, wavefront obj, say scale 0.01. and 120 centimeters Y. So that's the physically accurate size. Right, so if we create a cube, you see that's like 200 centimeters cube. So I'd say that's fairly accurate. And it's not really at the base, but I don't think we need to worry about that for now, not while retopology. But we will move it to proper ground and stuff before we get into the more production side, like rigging and so on. So he's here, and we shall call this collection high res and create a new collection, which I forgot to do how in Blender. Is it M? Collections, probably C. Ah, no. Shift M or something like that. Control M. Oh, forgot. Haven't used Blender in so long. But anyway, we can do it manual way. The good old. Click new and move that back up here and say low res. So our retopologized model can go under there. And to retopologize, I like to use the Polyquilt add-on. So it's a free one, but I don't think it's available by default. So you'd have to go to preferences and get extensions, and then get this Polyquilt retopology tool. Um, I mean, you can do it without it, but I recommend it because the last time I used it, I felt really comfortable using it, although it's quite some time ago now. And a couple of things we may want to do is make sure that under is it here, I think when we go in the edit mode, so let's create a plane and say tab A. This is just a way to get inside the edit mode, because once you do that, you can see the polyquilt tool right here, and then this polyquilt quilt, quilt quad patch tool as well. So this is what we'll be using, but mainly this one. Um, yeah, this is just so we can get into edit mode. Now you just delete all the vertices because you don't need the plane. But then with this menu, the mesh edit mode, you may click retopology. So that'll make sure that we are in like retopology mode. It'll make it easy for you to view your retopology. But without that, yeah, you may run into some issues with visibility. So, right. So I know, looking at the model, you might think I could have done a lot more before retopology, but I feel like I've got all my major forms, and that's all I need for the retopologizing phase. And and I can keep sculpting some details on top of this nice mesh that we're about to create. And tool view. I think that's the only thing. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, the snapping, right? So we want to be snapping to the face and face project. And then we can go into polyquill and say put down some dots, say around the eye. So yeah, it created a little quad. So I'll move these around. So starting with one quad, you can keep, yeah, pulling the edges out to get your loops. So basically you hover over a vertex, then it goes yellow, which means you're in the vertex mode. If it highlights the edge, then you're moving the edge. And all you do is just keep pulling. So this is where a lion's eye is so different from, say, a human one. So I'm not entirely sure this is, yeah, no, actually I think this is good. We need to go around this bit this way. So that's one of the important ones I want to get out of the way. So there are different ways people do this. Sometimes you want to plan out the entire thing before you get started. But I mean, for this personal project where I'm just logging on and off in my evening after work, I just would like to figure things out as I go. And I don't want to be even this much high res. I think this is even quite a lot of polygons to begin with. So be careful with the rest of the stuff, and I'll move them around the vertices. So say go this way and join it to that, right? And always like say add a control, and then we can add some more divisions if required. But this is really cool with polyquilt. And one thing we may also want to do is drop down this mirror modifier and make sure clipping is enabled. So that will ensure, we have geometry on the other side. So, so from here I can go like all the way there, but that's one important loop. So focusing mainly on the loops first, you can fill the patches later. But there's one important loop that we need to create here. So let's bring this edge down. And because this is going to be looped over, like we need one loop that goes all around, because when we animate, that's what allows us to make it shut its eye cleanly. So we go further, and we can then join up like so. So that's our loop. Not yet. Yeah, there. Now we have a loop. So if you want to check if you got a loop or not, you just click Control, and when you hover over like that, you see there's a nice loop that goes across. In fact, let's just drop that in like that. So so there's like a crease. In fact, from this angle, I think we can go somewhere like that, and then there could be another one that goes there. So when we smooth this model, you can see a nice crease. And to just visualize this, we may drop in a subdivision modifier as well, subdivision surface, and say levels in viewport is also 2, and then we can see a smooth surface. And to also view it better, I don't know, we could drop the shrink wrap modifier, or is it not required? Also, might be useful to change the material to matte cap. You see, instantly it looks a bit more like your ZBrush model. And I think there's a nicer way to visualize. It's like the give a color to this polygon. Let's go here and the viewport display and color. Give it a something like, how about green? Oh, that's not working. That's not for. So matte cap, let's go dark. Anyway, it's not gonna be a problem when we are modeling. It's just once it's done, we may have to like give a material and a color to it. I'm pretty sure there's another place where we can see or give it a temporary color to the faces, but just don't remember where. Color opacity. Also here, with this 1 centimeter thing, we can change this. So instead of one, maybe keep it 25 centimeters. That's not helping, so don't worry. Let's go back to one and continue. So this might be something you could go like this. And if you just drop one loop there, so this is going like that. So we need one that goes this way. I tend to always start with the eye because I know that this has most of the topology, the resolution rather, and as I go outside, we'll find ways to like reduce the resolution. The same around the nostrils. After this, you do that and then try and bridge everything. And then the ears again, because of the complexity, there's so much that happens there. But by the time you come to here, you try and reduce it to what's here. So now there are two here, so let's drop one there. So for me at least, it's never about finishing the sculpt and then moving to retopology. Retopology is always something that is part of the sculpting process. And if this was not something that I'm making for animation and CFX, perhaps I would have just been in ZBrush and just used the Z remesher, which does a pretty good job for to just get your sculpt ready for rendering still images. But no matter how much I try, and I've heard this the same from a lot of develop artists, Zero Measure just cannot give you that animation ready topology. And the problem with the idea of how about why don't you just create a zero mesh, and then just tweak the parts that need tweaking. The problem is it's not that simple, because because oftentimes you end up deleting a lot of it and then recreating the whole thing anyway. And the hardest bits and the most important ones like the eyes and even what you call the legs, the joints, and that's where it doesn't do a great job, and that's the one we want it to do. And and then it just keeps the loops keep going spiraling across the model, which is so annoying. And that makes it just harder to like delete parts and then fixing them. So I feel like instead of doing that, just let's not waste any time and just do the whole thing yourself and the way you want it. As far as I'm aware, there's no AI tool or anything that can still do an animatable topology. They do decent quad remesher and even Z remesher algorithms, but if they were enough, you don't need AI, right? You have it in ZBrush or get one for an add-on for Blender. But the problem is these just don't work. Let's click tab to look at our model in isolation. Might also want to shade auto smooth, and this is how this would look like, right? When we take this back to ZBrush, um, we will have to crease some of these edges. Mm, so I'll go ahead and fill this gap, and I think there's a way you can select the entire loop. How do you do to select it? Is it Control Shift? Let's put one loop here because this is going to create some problems. I think it's a little too low res. Okay, we'll keep adding more resolution as required, but let's keep it as low as we can. So that so we'll have to keep going all round until we reach the back of the eye. Oops. In my course, Mastering CG Creature Creation, I did the entire retopology in ZBrush, and you'll be surprised how good ZBrush is for retopology. But on this occasion, I just chose to do it in Blender because I don't know. I just sometimes I just like Blender better, especially since I discovered the polyquilt. But sometimes, like if you just want to do it entirely in one software, don't want to leave ZBrush until it's all done, it's not a bad idea to try inside to do everything inside ZBrush. Just for at least one project, you should have like that. But generally speaking, it's Blender's. People have been doing retopology in Blender for so long, and the tools are so sophisticated. Best to yeah stick with horses for courses. So I've got these two, but I will go further back. And to be fair, I don't care where this ends. We'll probably move it further. The eye bag, you can go, mm, a few steps back. So maybe I'll go on another loop and then grid fill the whole thing. I think that's where quad patch is going to be used. Let's see. Because I don't recall using quad patch. Maybe because I didn't know it the last time I used polyquill. Because I remember just using Blender's grid fill for parts of these. I can't remember whether it's because I couldn't work it with the polyquill quad patch or because I just didn't realize it even existed. So let's find out what that does in a minute. A lot of this stuff I keep even forgetting because there's usually months and months of gap, and my day job isn't exactly to do with Blender or ZBrush, so I tend to have to always get back into things by trying to just do and remember. So what is this gonna do? Select quad patch. I thought it's supposed to just fill it. Let's just smooth it. I think this is what probably happened last time. So normally what I do is just go edges and in fact faces. Is it face? Yeah, and then just grid fill and just find a nice one. Something I think 3 looks good. And then you simply smooth it out a bit to relax. So that would just close it. Yeah, I'm gonna just research on the polyquill before the next stream because I feel like I'm missing something. Okay, so always just keep looking at the model with the subdivision because the subdivision will show the form and might give you some idea where you want to have some of these loops. So this is kind of where it's looping, and we'll have to crease it even more, I think, because judging by the yeah, judging by the geometry, I feel like this is where we need the the crease, but up there it's too high, so we need to bring that in. So let's say we relax this, so it just finds that edge there. And you're just going to relax the whole thing. Oh, not that much. Oh, I think we might have merged these two together. That wasn't intentional. So how do I get rid of the selection now? Object, edit. Okay. I don't want that edge because it's, yeah, that's better. So let's first, so patch is selecting a patch. I see. So just a tad relax. And now if I view this, how we start looking. Let's change the clip start and also the focal length, something like 120. If I do something like 20, is that better? No, it's just too skewed, isn't it? It's just the viewport looks better this way. I'm going to move this right to the edge. I just want to add one more loop here, but there needs to be a little bit of gap so it doesn't snap with the adjacent polygons. Yeah, that's well, you can see the definition, which is what we wanted. Let's carry on with the retopology, and we can always come back and address some of these details. The next thing is say I'm going to just draw around the nose, maybe one polygon here. So we will start very close around the nose and get wider as we go out. So we want to turn so there's a loop. You want to go change the angle and go this way and join somewhere under the nose, like so. I would have thought it would not go past the center. Let me look at it from the front view. Do we still have the mirror? Yes. And it is x-axis? Yes. Maybe let's just click the model just to be sure. Why is it not snapping? So let's try and keep it close to the center for now, because yeah, it should stop me from going because I've got clipping selected. Is it a polyquilt thing? Maybe it is. Let's keep going anyway. It's probably something to do with the order of these things. Let's do a mirror right at the bottom. No, it's not that. So let's say we select, come out of polyquilt, and then GX, yeah, that will keep it to the center and merge. So that would, yeah, Yeah, it's not, now you can't move these vertices to the left, and that should definitely merge, as you can see there. Okay, now you can just obviously switch between polycode and some other ones. So let's just say from here we need to go under. This is going to be tricky, but because we want to create the nostril, so we'll try and get this geometry filled in, and we can always worry about that hole later. So starting here, I'm going to pull one up here and then go all the way around. So this would go around. So always in the first sitting, it's just a case of getting the difficult part out of the way, all the loops and complex geometry, and then filling the gaps would be fairly easy from that point. Ah, it's so annoying. I'm going to try and view the plane with this view lock. So yeah, instead of dragging, clicking, finding the edge and dragging, you can also just hold shift and then click the edge, and that'll create a polygon of one unit. So in this case, I find that easier to do. So same again, let's do a little square, and this would go there. So I want to have one that goes like this. So this polygon, so 1, 2, we can connect these two together, and then we got a little separation to go under, make some room. So the next one I'm worried about is this. I want to go shift, do that, shift, shift, click edge, not there, still want to be looping. So we want to go under. If you want to have a, like, there's a way you can delete the polygons. I think it's Alt or is it Control. So not Alt. Yeah, Control Shift, and then if you tap on that when it's red, that will just delete the polygon you created. So I do remember a few things. think it's best if I did this with mouse. I mean, I've been trying to do it with my tablet, but it's more pain than it's worth. My viewport, what's going on? Where are you? Okay, let's get rid of that now. So we got default camera. Right, there you are. This is where it gets a little bit tricky with all the snapping. Let's pull one square here, and we'll have to get really narrow. So you have to bear with me as I keep correcting stuff. Uh, don't want to do that. So from here, if we go this way, and so we want to split this, right? This goes. Is it that? I think yeah, that could work. So let's do that. And as we go under, so we close off this. That's okay. But so actually, let's not do that. So we'll have to go one more under because the geometry sort of goes inside. So we can bring it there, but this vertex will go there. So, and then we'll have to fill these two as well with another loop, but we'll get to that. The more important thing is to get this one to go keep going underneath the nose. I don't know what this one's doing here. We've got to move back up to the edge, and we need this nostril which started here to come and join somewhere there. So let's delete this guy and focus on getting this one round. I believe we need one here to close that. So we got that going nicely, and this guy can go here and this here. I think let's see how that works. There, and then so you got there, and then just going to relax them a bit. Okay, yeah, there's no harm in taking your time with these complex shapes because you see how we're gonna rush with the easy ones. And I also want to stress that with this model, this is like a for VFX model, it's going to be not the same way we do a Disney model. Like a lot of this, the animations we get from simulation, right? Not just the deformation. So, except for these, you know, critical areas, the rest can be just cylindrical forms. Like we don't really have to go and conform to every muscle that we see. I like to just keep it very simple after a while. I don't know what that glitchy artifacts we're seeing. That's probably the insides of the lion because yeah, I mean this model had was created from the muscles and the skeleton, so there will be some faces on the inside, which we're gonna lose once we do the retopology. So that's another advantage of doing it at this stage before we don't go on to further sculpting. So as expected, there's this triangle here, and we need to think of how we quantify this triangle. There are two ways to do it. We can add a loop here because we're going to need quite a bit of geometry here, so that sounds like the most obvious thing to do. So if you go control and add a loop there, I don't know what it did there. Oh, we needed to, yeah, there. So there was, it does snap, so let's relax these faces even more to create more of a gap and then bisect it. It's still got the snapping strength way too much. If it's, is it a polyquilt thing? If it's a polyquilt thing, we can always go back to, there must be a setting somewhere where you can adjust the snapping, but if you don't know what that is, you can just control R and do the traditional way, and there you have it. So go back to polyquilt and just relax these. There. Okay, now for the rest, simply go around nice and easy. So I think with as we go here, we can close this like that. And now I guess I'm getting to into the territory where I don't care so much. So let's still go this way and close that. We could use a loop there, close this, and then we have triangles. So for this, yeah, maybe that's good. So you can see how when you smooth it, this will start to look really nice. Let's join these as well, and then we'll see in the subdivision, with the subdivision on, how it's looking. So we started turning here. So yeah, that would be the right one. I don't think we can escape here. We need more loops. This is why we drew this with damn standards, so we know where this line is going to be. And we get really close. Because this will help retain that crease. So what's going to happen here is potentially we could, so if we want this to go around, this will be a quad like that, and this is a quad, so that's closed. So you can see how we're getting a loop here, we're going a loop, one loop goes there, and then there's a loop that goes this way, and there's one that goes all around. So we got all the loops that we need for the deformation. Not that the lion moves its nose and nostrils so much, and for a realistic lion like this, yeah, we don't need a lot. If this was like a Lion King animated version, we need all sorts of movements happening even here. So let's just tab it, hide the high res, and look at how it is. There's a issue with the merging, so GX, oops, sorry, not that. Let's also take the opportunity to save this. We've been so lucky we haven't had a crash, because I don't think Blender autosave works as well as ZBrush. So from now on, just note to self to keep saving after every little progress, every important piece of progress. Uh, so go back to regular edit mode, GX, GX, in fact, go in the front view. Let's select all of these. Say the tool item x0, so they're all zeroed, and it's nice and neat. You can see the topology. There's a hole there, so let's fix it. So we're missing one loop. And then fill this up. So you can see how even while polyquilt is enabled, I was still able to use Control R to add that loop in. So I'm not sure if that's the best place to do it, but yeah, let's roll with it. Yeah, just be mindful. I don't want these to move away from this line, so there needs to be one that goes very close to this line. So it might be best to add another loop on either side. And then just relax some of these which are too close to each other. And now you can see that there's this very deep cut. And just overall, it just captures the silhouette of that nose. Okay, let's continue. So from here, make a just join this edge. This is always going to be one that goes from the end of the nose to the edge of the eye, like that. And we can try and fill these in. So there's going to be one loop that goes from there all the way here. So let's just say that will be this one. So this could be the one that goes all around. No, actually, like this. Could be this. So some decisions will have to be made. I'm going to go this way just to conform to this shape. Maybe this width is a bit too high. This could go a little bit down here. This could go all the way around. So let's go all the way around. This line is not going to talk, it just needs to roar. So I have that on the back of my mind. We don't need that exactly. So there's going to be this geometry that goes this way to fill up that gap, and around there. So yeah, let me know in the comments, guys, what do you think so far? How is the line coming along? Do you see it? Do you see this once it has the main and everything? Is it going to be a really emphatic Lion King? This is where we're going to be trying to reduce geometry, because we created all of this for the nose that we will not want. So this is one way, like I could stop here, and so that will turn these across like this, and well, we'll have to maybe create a loop. No, let's not do that. So from here, let's go one more and start to turn. Say we'll turn here. So, so that's where the loop would go. But it also means that we can go this way. And give one loop there to close it. So this is what we're going to have to fill. That's a better way. So what I want to do is I want some of these to like roll back here, because we got this bow happening on the nose. We can use that to turn the geometry. So let's not do anything here. So you'll see what I'm thinking in a minute. So I want to go with this. Like that. And start to turn it. So got these two, this and this. So that's, so reduce the polys to go up. But this placement is kind of justified because of that. It could probably be done a little higher, but it won't really affect our geometry the way it looks. So and then here, if we say, because we got that little dip in the geometry, you know, when this is subdivided, it will show really nicely. And now I want to just keep going. Oh, so we need one more geometry, one more loop there. Smooth out, see how it's looking. Just gonna control and click this, control shift to get the entire loop. Yeah, and make sure it's all 0. Ah, it does relatively, not vertex wise. That's annoying. Oh, the other way you can do this is like this. So go into the front view, SX0, so it's all straight, and then you click 0. That should move all of them at once. There. That's looking good. Make sure I just have auto shade smooth on. So I will keep doing this and create more loops for the ears now. So let's drag one of these polygons this way. And as we get to the ears, let's narrow down a bit. Okay, and then the most important loop, we'll get that out of the way, which is the one that goes all around the ear. So just say, oops, shift, and then move in place. Okay. It is very keen. It wants, as soon as it sees a polygon nearby, it wants to snap to it. I don't remember Polyquill being that keen. And so we have all of this shape behind the ear and this, which I don't know where to begin, to be fair. But I've got the most important loop around, so yeah, we can figure this stuff out. So there's one that we'd like to go this way, right? So let's go around. and then just snap to the nearest polygon. So there's going to be something that goes here as well. Yeah, simple from here, no problems. There's going to be a little bit here that we have to turn and reduce the polygons to meet that, but yeah, I don't want to spend too much time thinking about it today. So let's just get one here to suggest, hey, this is going to be closed off. So just oops, select these two, SX0, and then 0 here, and then check. It looks like every time I add something, I have to keep selecting shade auto smooth. I think, but oh, that's because it's being added to the model itself. So if I just let that go away, there should be something you can do in, is it here? The scene settings or viewport display, animation, custom properties. I swear there's somewhere else you can do this that applies to the entire scene, but just can't remember where. Is it here? Let's search. Smooth, smooth, not there. Oh, is it auto? Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. Back to shade auto smooth. So what is it doing? Adding a modifier. Let's change that to 60. Okay. Also, let's view this from the basic material. Okay. So yeah, this is just a quick stream to make sure that I've started something and showed you my retopology strategy. So in the next stream, which is probably not tomorrow but on Wednesday, we will spend some time and try and make it as long as possible and try and get all of those very important loops first. And once we have them all, we'll then go and in a future session finish up the fillers. So I hope you enjoyed this stream so far. I hope it's been useful. At least if nothing else, it was an introduction to retopology in Blender using Polyquilt add-on. So yeah, let's leave it at that, guys, and I will see you all in the next session. Thank you for whoever tuned in. I'll see you all very soon. Bye for now. Good night.